What's up, everybody? Welcome to the PixelPlay Sidequest. The last of the series is here. PlayStation 3. We're not going to have some like bonus secret Easter egg episode where it's like, actually, we're going to do Switch games. Yeah.
Switch games that need remasters, which are not no.
to be fair, to be fair, a couple of them kind of could use it. Mostly the third-party ones, but a couple of them kind of could.
Yeah, Marvel Ultimate Alliance 3. Who said that? That was weird.
You know, it could work. But yeah, we're on the PlayStation 3 episode, the last one, and then we got to figure out what the hell we're going to do after that. But hey, that sounds like a next week problem, and we'll address that then. But for now, we are here, Chris and I, to talk about the last of the remakes, PlayStation 3 games. So, Chris, why don't you kick it off? You're the one that actually owned the damn console, because I never did.
I did. It was my second last console I owned until I went pure PC for a while, actually. But yeah, PS3 going to PS4 with no backwards compatibility, and then the Wii U. It was a bad double whammy that caused me out of consoles.
When did you get it early on? Did you pay the over the top price for that thing when it launched?
The Wii U? Yeah, I was
No, PS3.
Oh, PS3? No, God, no. I waited on that. I couldn't afford that. I was in university at the time. My budget was 1/3 of what it was going for. I had to wait until it dropped a lot, and then I think I even bought my first one used. Yeah, and then I did buy the Slim later because my first one was also getting a little glitchy, which sucked because after that all the backwards compatibility for PS2 went away. Like only the first generation of PS3 was fully backwards compatible, and I was trying to be extremely backwards compatible with all my Final Fantasy games, which is not surprising.
Oh, but you had the Spider-Man PS3.
No, I just had the normal.
No. We make the joke because the font was always looking like Spider-Man movie
the
font.
Spider-Man, yes. Oh, yeah, that it was 100% the same font. They were definitely using their Spider-Man cred to try and push the console 100%.
I don't know. They really should have just owned it. Like, they really should have just gotten Alfred Molina just to hold and be like, the power of the sun in my hands. They should have just done it. Like, if this was the age of social media, they could have easily done that and it would have gotten so much more money out of it.
Yeah, back then it would have been tough to have pushed that as much. It would have been all TV, maybe little ads before movies in the theater and stuff. Oh, they could have totally, because it was that font, and I'm surprised they didn't really make even a Spider-Man. Oh, I guess they kind of did, but I don't know if it was Sony who made it. I'm surprised that it was the PS4 where that hit, but yeah.
Yeah. But alas, what's your first game?
Honestly, I think that this is probably the best PS3 game, and I think that it really does need a glow up or a remake or a remaster or maybe both, and that's The Last of Us. I think I'm kidding. I did write the first thing I wrote was The Last of Us lol with a really big lol in my notes because the amount of remakes and remasters that game has already received is insane. Okay, my real first one is believe it or not, going to be one that some people will be like, oh, really, this one of all games? But I'm going Assassin's Creed 1. And the reason being is it was still at a period where Assassin's Creed was not too big and not too bloated. In fact, this game didn't have much to it. Like when you played the first Assassin's Creed, it had some of the towers for opening the map and stuff, but you weren't bombarded by things on the map because the game was actually quite linear. And it just had like 9 assassinations you needed to do. It was more along the lines of like a Hitman game where it's just like, hey, there's 9 people we're going to have to kill, and you progress through the story until all 9 are dead, and then there's a big ending piece that happens at your home base, and the game starts at your home base kind of area. So it's a lot more linear, and it was like the Assassin's Creed that I fell in love with. Now, 100% is where, it got its stride, and it really pushed and perfected kind of what was going on, and then it's kind of downhill from there, obviously always just a little bit. But the first game, its issue is just that it was the first one and they were trying things. It didn't have air assassinations and certain things like that, but also like, it was a new engine. The world while in the city was cool. Like as soon as you left the city, it did feel like very barren and empty, and it was kind of just there. it wasn't really utilized. You didn't have to do much there. It was more like get to the city and assassinate this person kind of idea. But it's just that the game actually is really, really good, especially for the time. But obviously, because of everything that's happened since then, it's really, really showing its age. All the combat is like only counters, like you pull out your sword only to counter and then one shot kill. Very cool. Very, very fun to do when it was like you versus 10 people and you would just counter one at a time until they were all dead. Um, but still, like, the obviously the game does show its age, and it does, even if the graphics look still okay to people like me included, like I don't think it's actually that bad. It really is just the lack of all the extra features and modern day stuff that Assassin's Creed does have. Now when I say that, I do not mean a bigger open world. I do not mean a bunch of like icons on the map. I actually want them to keep the same size, just up the graphics a bit, and then add in all that quality of life and fill in the space that they have. Add more people in the city, around the city, like actually fill that out and add things just to make it feel more alive, not like a bunch of side quests or anything like that. But yeah, like kind of just bring this back and kind of give us that chance to feel the origins of where the Assassin's Creed franchise came. Because there's things in that game that new games don't do, like eavesdropping and stuff, where you, like we saw in the video, just right there at the end of the clip, you would sit on a bench just to get a little bit of intel that you'd hear people saying, which is where you'd be able to find your target. Like it was always like that kind of cool stuff. But again, the game's missing out on like being able to go up on a building and air assassinate and all that kind of stuff that the even just the second game introduced. So I would say just taking features from the first few games and putting them into that first one would be something that I think fans of the series at least would really love, because it would be a lot like Mirage, much smaller, probably cheaper Assassin's Creed you can go back to. Doesn't feel overwhelming, it doesn't feel too big, and it actually feels like the purpose of the game is to assassinate people and then you win kind of idea. So
It honestly surprises me that they haven't. Considering how so many companies are just like, well, we don't have any ideas, so let's just remake something that we've had for like over 15 years now and just, that'll be good enough, right?
Yeah, because they remastered the third one of all the random games, which came as I think it was around the time of Odyssey. Like if you could get, even if you pre-ordered Odyssey, you got the remaster of the third game for free. And I know it's not a full remake, but like, why the third game? Is that where they started with the remaster and then none others?
Like everybody still kind of remembers most about Ezio, whereas I think most people kind of forgotten like Altair's bit.
Yeah. And it's important because it ties into Ezio's in the Revolutions game and stuff too, right? Like he was like the guy that started it all, and you'd think there'd be more love and more stuff with him, but he got one game and then they just moved on. Like go back, remake that one, and then maybe even do like another small Assassin's Creed side story where we see more of what happened with him, like,
or just not 80-hour Assassin's Creed games. That'd be great.
Yeah, just like a 25-hour Altair Assassin's Creed remake and a second, sequel to the first game, like proper sequel. Yeah.
All right. Well, I'll move on from being an assassin to a saboteur, because that's going to be my first pick, which is a game that I don't even care if it's a remake. The fact that another one of these never got made is just, to me, the biggest crime, because I think this is still one of the most underrated games I've played in like this like millennium.
Wow. That is praise. Wow.
Like the amount that this game, like, I really do think that this game was one of the most finely created games, and just no one talks about it. Like, of course, replaying it, it's a little rough around the edges now, but like back then, like, it was really, really good.
I mean, it looks nice even for now, like graphics wise and stuff.
Yeah, and the idea of it being this really interesting art style where it's black and white when you're in, because it's obviously during World War II, Nazi Germany, or I guess, well, it's France, but it's like Nazi and Germany invading, I guess. It's black and white wherever you are, where it has to deal with Nazis being taking over the area, and then it goes to color once you've actually liberated that area. So it's also like the atmospheric choice that they've decided to make for it is quite interesting. And to have a pretty decent story, all things considered, too, for a game that's literally just about you being this Irishman that's just trying to just get rid of a bunch of Nazis from France. Yeah, it's pretty solid and some really good gameplay, and also like does the bit of stealth, sort of that Assassin's Creed ish stealth, where it's sure you can go in guns blazing, but you can also slowly pick people off one by one, and that's just as entertaining.
I remember you and Kaylan talking about this on the main podcast and got me very interested. Oddly enough, this one is available on Steam. I know it's still the original game from back then. It's just been.
There's got to be like some sort of mod community that's made it also a little bit better too.
Yeah, this is one I've wanted to check out, and that would probably what I would do right now is I'd grab it on Steam and get whatever mods to bring it up to slightly more modern times. But if this actually got a remake, this is truly something that I think I would pick up right away.
Oh, I'd be super excited for that. Yeah.
Oh yeah, like the art style alone, it's just so interesting, and it's something that a lot of games today do not do. Right? They don't put in that effort of pure art style. It's more like what ray tracing and global illumination this and blah 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 can I do, instead of like, hey, what if the world's black and white, there's still red and some yellow, but that's it, and then it turns the color as you liberate it, and it's like, holy crap, that's because it
also gives it like that film noir
idea.
kind of feel to it too.
Yeah honestly,
or a bit of a Sin City,
yes Sin City World War II edition.
Yeah. I mean, it is pretty violent, so
yeah, I would imagine. If it wasn't, I wouldn't think that it would make a lot of sense. It's a love story.
All right, what's your number 2?
So my number 2, I'm going to apparently stick with a tradition I've had in the last few episodes of this series, go with a JRPG that is like I like or want to at least have be better, and hence the remake. And it's Eternal Sonata. It's going with the theme of there was like the last story, and what was the one in the last episode? I can't remember what it's even called, but yeah, just all the
Blue
different
Dragon, I think is what you brought up.
Blue Dragon, Blue Dragon. All the different JRPGs that were like, come on, these were going to be great new IPs, maybe, and all that, and obviously didn't fully live up to it. Now, I actually did play this one, so I know I mentioned Last Story and that, but I
still can't get past the fact that they name people after musical terms, and I'm like, look, some names can work, like Viola can work, but like Allegretto, nah.
Did you ever play this one?
I don't remember. I feel like I thought about trying it, and I just I never got around to it, or I tried it very quickly and didn't like it.
Yeah, it's such a cool concept that, again, it was back when, JRPGs still do this, obviously, today. Not all of them. Some of the companies, as we know, Square doesn't put the level of creativity in like they did here. But this one was so interesting to me because it was Chopin, the pianist, from like real life, I think Poland. It's him on his deathbed in real life, like our world. Obviously everybody looks anime, but it's supposed to be just our world. And on his deathbed, he starts to have a dream, and this game is his dream. And that's why there's all the musical themes and people have musical characters and names and all that kind of stuff. It's this guy, this guy on his deathbed having this, I don't know, fever dream. I don't even know. I don't fully remember, obviously, how it ends and all the characters and all that, but it was such a cool concept because it used a lot of like his music, and obviously it was remixed and stuff like that. And as a person who was in like high school band and loved all these composers and stuff, whether they're really old or closer to today's age, obviously like Chopin here, I loved it. And it was such a cool concept, just unfortunately plagued by some choices that JRPGs would have at the time. It was a lot.
It was a rough era.
It was rough, and it's not. I don't blame the game specifically. They were trying new things and trying to push things that honestly the consoles, even if you made a game just for the Xbox, trying to convert it over to the PlayStation or vice versa was like near impossible at the time. And yeah, this is unfortunate. I had it on PS3 because I didn't have the 360, but I adored this game with all of its flaws. It was at that time when an anime JRPG was like right up my alley. I just discovered Tales with Tales of Grace's F, which would be on this list if it didn't just get like a remaster or remake like a year ago. But this one has received nothing. Never a sequel, never a re-release, and there is no. I've looked. This is like a Radiata Stories of the PS3 age, where there is no way to play it other than this. So, sort of like if you were to emulate it or have the original disc, end up working PS3, which is going to be harder and harder each year, right? But yeah, I think it does need a bunch of updates, and it get rid of that generation's plague of JRPG-ness, where it's like, oh, big open field, there's literally nothing in it. An enemy appears, that's nice. Take out the enemy and stuff like that. Again, trying to do new things with like limited hardware. I think they could really clean that up. Obviously, it being an anime makes it hold up well. It'd be more like filling out the world and then changing some of the gameplay when it comes to the combat and stuff like that. It was unfortunately quite plagued with just being very generic and stuff. It's not like some of the Tales of games where they're able to make the combat a little bit more interesting and a bit more fun. I mean, I'd love if they remade it and just made it a turn-based JRPG. That'd be incredible. But it's more just kind of like bringing it up to a little bit of a more modern standard. Keep the anime style. Obviously, make it available on new platforms so people can enjoy it. Keep the music, keep the characters, keep the story, and just kind of update it and upgrade it just enough to make it, just that little bit of love that it would need, and that the developers would actually be able to apply now with like having less limitations. I think it would be a fantastic, fantastic addition to JRPGs.
Yeah, unfortunately, it seems like it's one of those cases where it's just another Japanese developer that's just like, well, we don't really care.
Yeah, no, 100%. Yeah, that's why I'm thrown into this podcast, hoping one of them's watching. They're like, you know what? That's a great idea. Chris is right. That Jin and Chris guy knows what's up.
I'm not gonna hold my breath on that one. Japanese developers being relatively nice to their player base, yeah, I'll fucking believe that when I see it. Or no, that's not a normal thing that happens. Anyway, back to other things. Another game that I've spoken a number of times on this podcast. Finally get to bring that up. Alpha Protocol.
Ah, yes.
Which, man, I ate well when it came to third-person action RPGs. Because, like, between this, Mass Effect, and Dragon Age, like, there was some fun shit.
Yeah.
And
they were really fun at the time.
And I'd like to see this, like, get another crack at it. I don't even know if I'd necessarily want a remake, to be honest. I think I'd rather it just be done again, like just a new one, because I'd like to see someone take like the reins of it and do something different with it. Because I think just the idea of like a spy RPG just seems pretty awesome.
Yeah. Oh, 100%. This one, I got to try it. I didn't play much of it. I never owned it. But I 100% agree. Like, this is just the type of game that you don't get anymore. Even when they are the third person action.
I mean, maybe the Bond game will be kind of in that thing. Like, who knows? But like, no one's really tried to replicate this, which is weird.
Yeah, because this was beloved, I believe, from what I remember. But
like, maybe it just didn't sell nearly as well. But like, you talk to a lot of people about it, and it's very well regarded. Yeah. Like, is it amazing in terms of like gameplay? No, the gameplay is kind of rough, but that was also Mass Effect 1 before they ironed out the kinks.
Yeah,
but, like,
absolutely.
For a spy RPG, like story-wise, like there was some intrigue, there were some interesting characters, like, and the mechanics that they had with, the relationship that you develop with other, either spies or these villains, or like just in making, the ability of like certain things you unlock later that might make the next mission easier, like stuff like that actually can kind of affect the mission. Like at that time was relatively not as fleshed out in most games, so.
Yeah, absolutely. I can just imagine what this would look like if it was brought up to a more modern graphic style. Like, just keep everything the same and just up the textures, up the character movements and character models and all that kind of stuff.
Like, the closest we really have to that is kind of like Deus Ex-ish.
Yeah.
But it's not as close as I'd like it to be. I kind of hope that the James Bond game kind of leans into that a little bit. They haven't really fully explained how the game's going to work yet. Yeah. So there's always room for it, but like if it's not that, then I want me a remake or a new Alpha Protocol, because it's the only one of its kind still.
Yeah. And I'm pretty sure that's another one that's on Steam. So maybe there's a bunch of mods that can be applied to that and still.
I was going to say, yeah, this is clearly going to be a bunch of those really, really good third-party hidden gems for you.
Oh, yes. I think Alpha Protocol is already either in my Steam list or on my wish list. I know.
And then when you do inevitably play it 7 years later, you'll be able to tell me about how you ended up choosing the Death by Snoo Snoo option.
I mean, first of all, that's the only option I would ever choose in
I
that
mean, she is the
situation.
European one, so you kind of wouldn't have a choice either.
Yes, I also have a type, so yeah, that's 100%. Um,
All right,
all right.
what's
Well,
your last one? Your last remake that you're ever going to speak of on the show?
so oh wow, thanks. Way to like make it that. Okay, that's intense. That's really freaking intense. So I'll do my honorable mentions after you mention yours, just in case.
We might have a lot
So
of overlap on that.
yeah, that's a thing. So my last one I'm going to bring up is also kind of just a way to be like, hey, Sony, this could really help you out a little bit, maybe. And that's Killzone 2 and 3. Though my idea is not even just 2 and 3.
I would have just said the
Um,
trilogy, honestly.
the trilogy. And now the reason I say this is the first game was a PS2 game, and it was the second and third one that was on there.
Mhm.
Honestly, it's just such a cool looking game, and it was a first person shooter, which, let's be honest, Sony doesn't have that as a genre anymore. Like, I mean, Sony locked itself into just very few different genres, unfortunately. But this is one of them. Like, I guess they technically own Bungie with Destiny now, but they're just going like live service versus just very atmospheric single player first person shooter type of game. They could throw multiplayer in there, but I would be like not like live service, try and be Call of Duty type of multiplayer, like just normal deathmatch they could throw in or something if they really wanted some multiplayer. And I think people would actually gravitate to that pretty well. But this game was just so atmospheric, right? It was like dark and obviously very moody. The shadows I remember being really cool, which you can actually kind of see in the gameplay here. Whereas like there would be a corner that was really dark and there'd be enemies in there, but it was like legit dark shadows, like which a lot of games at the time didn't do. It just had a really cool, gritty first person shooter kind of vibe, right? Like it to me, it still looks like it holds up. It's not something that's playable, obviously, because I don't think they ever re-released this on PS4 as a collection or anything like that. If they did, I didn't see it. But yeah, I think this just deserves, I would say, a trilogy kind of remake to bring them all up to modern everything, but also just to give Sony a first person shooter, first party game that they could release on the PlayStation that isn't on anything else. And it kind of gets people hyped to like, oh, I better get PlayStation Plus and play online with my friends in the Killzone collection and, do some online maps where it's capture the flag and deathmatch or whatever, but also have like kick ass first person stories, right? Like have the three games, the three stories, you can play through them back to back, and you go through the whole trilogy. Now I know there was 6 games in this. There was like a PSP one, a Vita one, and stuff like that. But I figured that could be a different collection or something. I don't think they need to remake all 6. That'd be really cool if they did. But I never played those, and I don't know if they would actually live up to the hype of the console versions. I imagine they wouldn't. So I would say probably doing a collection of the first 3 games, PS5 level graphics, but first person shooter, solid 60 frames per second, online mode for all 3, all that kind of stuff. Like, I think that would just kind of help Sony with having another genre in its first party collection kind of thing, right? Like,
Mhm.
Xbox had Halo and stuff. Like, don't get me wrong, Xbox is kind of lacking besides all the Bethesda first person games that they have come out. But Sony has like none besides Destiny and any of the other live service stuff they're trying, which is like not, I don't think, obviously working for them. Actual, just true single player first person shooter trilogy with a great story and cool atmosphere and stuff like that. I think it would sell really well, especially if it's like a trilogy of games for like $60 or something like that. I think people would, I know I would personally buy that right away and actually play through that because I would love to have a Sony kind of style, like have that type of thing I used to have back on the PS3, right? Like first person shooters weren't scarce at the time,
Mhm.
even first party. Yeah.
All right. I had a few different options I was trying to think about, and then Okay, tell me, did you bring up Spec Ops: The Line last time we were doing 360 or not? I don't remember.
No, I didn't bring that one up.
Okay, because that's where I'm going then.
Yeah.
I couldn't remember, but that was like high on my list.
The
Because
game was
it's just
so
it's
good.
one of those games that like, and I think too, like I don't even know if I need this remade so I can play it. I think I need this game remade so people under the age of 25 can play it.
Yeah.
Because they've missed this, and I think especially now in the world that we're in, this is the kind of game that people need to be exposed to just to understand what the realities of war actually are.
Yeah. Oh god, it hits so hard. It hits so hard. I was somebody who never played this on PS3 in that generation at all. I played this on PC many years later, um, like well into like when the PS4 was coming almost at the end of its life cycle kind of idea. And I remember being so blown away by it, even just with this older game that again is on Steam, and being like, holy fuck. Like it hit so hard and blew my mind.
Yeah, like
I didn't even
as
know.
a game, it's pretty middling, but like what it is an incredibly deep and downright realistically disturbing look at what war actually is.
Yeah.
Because everybody
Yeah.
just assumes, when you play a Call of Duty game, that it's just a lot of gunfire and explosions. Oh no, it's way more emotional than that, man.
Yeah. I was expecting just a like get in, kill the bad guy. He's gonna
That's what
make
it
a
wants you to
bomb.
think.
Yeah, and it does give that vibes until it's like, nope. I don't want to even say anything to spoil it in case anybody hasn't played this. Because of all the games we've mentioned, I think this is one where it's like for anybody who has access to this, probably on PC, I would assume at this point, like get it and play it because this story of this game is probably the most impactful of all the games we've mentioned in today's
Yeah,
episode.
like
I
I'm
would say.
sure with PC, like there's probably a way to get a better upresing and probably like, you know, decent up the controls and such. I'm sure somebody's done some work on it like that. But you're not playing it for the game. Like you're playing it
No.
because of the experience.
Yeah. Oh yeah. No, it's not on Steam anymore. I knew it had been delisted somewhere, and I just double checked. So unfortunately, it's not on Steam, though I bet you there are still keys sitting around, maybe on cdkeys.com and stuff like that, where it's just people who bought the key but never redeemed it.
Mhm.
Absolutely, such an incredible game. And if now it's not available anywhere, like yeah, it just needs a
Then yeah, it
remake, even
definitely needs that.
just to come back. Oh, such a good pick.
Because I mean, otherwise, like obviously Resistance, you could bring the trilogy back for that.
Yeah.
Infamous 1 and 2.
Mm-hmm. Both of those so far on my
Motorstorm, also with now with apparently
Motorstorm.
with Forza Horizon being the only like crazy racing game left with Sony, you got an opening there. You can start pushing in some fun car racing stuff again and see if you can kind of take that little bit of the pie Xbox has left. Because Gran Turismo's on its own now.
Yeah.
And then even like a smaller one, like the same developers of Unicorn Overlord and Vanilla, where you have Dragon's Crown. I think it might have gotten like a PS4 port, but I'm meaning like full on like clean that shit up and just make it look like an absolute fucking masterpiece on modern consoles. Because
Yeah.
even now, like you look at that game on PS3, it still looks gorgeous because of the art style that he uses. But
Mhm.
make it more gorgeous, even
Make it
more,
more
gorgeous.
Yeah. 4K gorgeous.
It's not a 10 out of 10. And you got to make it a 12 out of 10.
Flood it with ray tracing. No, I'm kidding.
But yeah,
Yeah, my I had Infamous 1 and 2 as honorable mention. Resistance, Fall of Man as well. The collection. That was I didn't want to say Killzone and Resistance. It made no sense, so I kind of just went with Killzone because it was the one I liked a little bit better. And then the other one I had was Tales of. I don't even know if I'm saying this right. Right, Tales of Xillia. It's one of the Tales of
Yep.
games, but it was like the PS3 like exclusive.
it's either going to be
one, I think.
Zillia or Shilia.
Yeah, it was like there was Xillia and then like Xillia 2, I think. I think they actually had two games. And again, that's just one of the ones that never had a release ever again. I don't even know if it really needs a remake. That one was more on my list of more of a re-release. Just get some sort of remaster so it's added to PC and modern consoles like all the other Tales of games are. Tales of Graces would have been the one here, but it got its release last year, and I still gotta pick that up once I'm done Tales of Horizon.
So apparently you say it literally as it looks. It is Exilia.
Ugh. What? Now I don't want it. It's off the honorable mentions. It's dumb.
Well, it's also off the honorable mentions everything because that's the last one.
End of an era. And by era, I mean 2025, half of the year.
Yeah, pretty much. So we'll probably go back to just doing like smaller topics that might be news stuff or whatever else. Maybe we'll put some games in there. I know I used to torture Chris with trivia often at points just to really get to him, so I could always pull that out randomly on his ass.
Oh, I forgot about that. Fuck.
Who knows? Always an opportunity to do stuff just to torture the man.
Yeah.
But for now,
yeah,
that's it. We've done all the remakes. I mean, we could pull out a PC episode if we really wanted to, but that's like...
Yeah, that's just how do you pick 3 games off of... The backlog is... I mean, the backwards compatibility is all there. You could pick Roller Coaster Tycoon, which would probably be on my list, or anything, and it would just... There's so many years. How do you pick?
Look, I got it, Chris. SimCity.
Yeah.
Theme Hospital.
Oh, okay.
And Roller Coaster Tycoon. There, we're done.
Yeah, honestly, I think that's actually the list. I think that's what I go with as well.
There we go. Problem solved. The episode's done. We don't have to do that anymore anyway. All right. Well, now that this is the end, you all know the drill. You're here on YouTube. You know how this shit works. You like and subscribe. We appreciate that if you guys do both of those. Don't forget to share with all your friends. We obviously appreciate all of you and any new folks that come in here. And then obviously you got at the bottom of your screen, you got the link tree, which is... There's other things in there, but it's the link to the Discord. Let's not kid ourselves at this point. We're all bad with social media.
The Discord is the best place. It's my happy place. I love going in there on a daily basis.
But that's going to do it, guys. So we'll see you next week when I have no fucking clue what we're going to do. So, take care. Bye-bye for now.